welcome to episode 25, folks, of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. My name is William Fizzpatrick, and I'm in a celebratory happy mood today because for a couple of reasons. First, it is September 1st, the first day of September, and it is a very special month for the two of us at this point because both of our birthdays are this month. So we should be having a birthday-related episode coming up in a couple weeks here on Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling, and that should be a fun show to do. Now, folks, we did have a bit of a scheduling change this week, and also we want to thank you all for being patient with us because we had to take a week off last week. And I feel really happy and appreciative for all you folks out there. And also, we wanted to say some kind words to the people of Houston, Texas, who are currently in the midst of dealing with Hurricane Harvey at this point. We wish you all the best, and we wish all of the condolences for those who have lost loved ones in this unfortunate tragedy.
Yep, our hearts are with you, Texas. We hope things can get better for you soon. I mean, obviously, it'll take a very long time, but, you know. And if any of you guys have any extra money to spare, you can donate to lovely organizations like the American Red Cross or numerous other local organizations if you do a quick Google search for them.
Yep. Just make sure to use the actual official websites and make sure that you don't get scammed off.
Yes. And quick shout out to all those scamming people who are trying to help people in the disaster area. Go fuck yourselves. I mean, seriously, sometimes there's so much good in humanity that we've seen in this wake of a terrible natural disaster that it makes you feel some hope for humanity and where we're going. And then you see people like this who are trying to scam people so they can make money off of people's misery and suffering. Just seriously, no.
Yep. So, yes, seriously, no, folks. So just make sure to click on the official links or tabs of email addresses for these different charity organizations. Make sure to double and triple check to make sure that they are official and legitimate. That is a short PSA on that subject. Now, let's see here. Additionally, we want to do our plugins a little early this time. We have two plugins. Both of them are now on SoundCloud and iTunes. First up, celebrating his 10th episode, is Shootin' the Breeze with Taker's Minion and Mr. Dr. Senju. These are two guys have been doing a really great job with their podcasting work lately, and I was recently on the Breakfast at SummerSlam show with Taker, and it was a very enjoyable show to do. They have been progressing nicely with their podcast, and we hope that you appreciate you give them their support as well. Yep. In addition, Two Guys, One Sport with Crazy Chris 576 and Curtain Jerker is now also on iTunes. They also have both podcasts now have spiffy new logos, and they are currently now on their 26th episode. Scheduling note, folks, this podcast will be guest hosted by WOR Duke and Curtain Jerker this week, as Chris has to deal with I believe it was, a Warhammer tournament?
Yep. See, here's the funny thing. Chris was going to like a Warhammer tournament down in Northern Virginia. Yeah. So in order to fill in for him, they got Duke, who was from Northern Virginia. Replacing him from a guy where he's going. That makes some sort of weird sense, I suppose. But yeah, both of those shows are friends of ours. We really appreciate it if you check them out after you check us out. Taker's Minion and Mr. Dr. Senju just finished recording, or streaming, I should say. So go check them out after we're done. And Duke and CJ will be on later tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern.
That should be a very interesting, and for those of you who like watching a really long podcast, you will really enjoy that one. Because last time the Duke was on, the three of them managed to go almost 3 hours.
Yes, but it was a good 3 hours.
Yes, because they talked about indie wrestling with Nova Pro Wrestling and also talked about the world of professional wrestling at large. Now, we are going to do one segment on pro wrestling before it gets squashed by a heap of skydiving sumo wrestlers, as you may have noticed by the title, and that involves the incident at Triple Mania, folks. The Donner Party of Pro Wrestling is riding into the station, and it's AAA this week, folks.
Yep. I think they're making a case to being a bigger Donner Party than the original Donner Party, a.k.a. TNA.
Well, they've always had a close working relationship with one another, so it's
I
like
know.
a close trade relationship of, okay, this week we'll do the crazy antics, or this week we'll do the crazy
Yeah.
antics, and
I almost like to think they're kind of like two kindred spirits that are just separated by thousands of miles in an international border. You know, but let's get down to it. AAA had their biggest show of the year, Triple Mania, which obviously is their version of WrestleMania. And for the women's title, they had a fatal four-way, I believe, with Sexy Star, Rosemary, Taya Valkyrie, and who else was it?
Taya wasn't on this show. It was Tavia, I think it was.
Oh, okay. And who was the other one? Was it like Ron Hamada or something like that?
I think it was Hamada.
Yeah, Hamada. So those four were in a match. For the finish of the match, they decide either, I've heard something that it was either AAA planned to have this happen or Sexy Star is just an idiot. I would not be surprised at either, and either way, it's still disgusting. The finish was Sexy Star keeping Rosemary in the arm bar for too long and injuring Rosemary. She at the very least seemed to hyperextend the arm too much. Now, did I not ask this when they gave the belt to Sexy Star? Why are you giving it to this person who has proven to be unreliable in the past? Who has been proven to do bad things. She refused to drop belts before. She went into a fake retirement to go box, only to retire from that before her first match. This is a notorious person who has major issues, and this is who they put the belt on. It is good to see them proving me right, like not even, 5 months later? Not even.
Yeah. It's a frustrating situation, but I don't think it's been helped by either side. Allegedly, from the stories that have been told on both sides of the account. Now, I'm not necessarily believing Sexy Star in this situation, but she is extraordinarily paranoid at this point because of all of the threats against her. Because, of course, she's not the best worker, and she's also injured a few people in the past. So to start things off with, GFW is ironically been the sane person in the room in this occasion.
Yeah, because their wrestler, Rosemary, they're all saying, hey, wait a minute, this is utter bullcrap. What the hell are you doing to our performer?
Yes, the Donner Party of professional wrestling is saying this, folks. Pigs are currently flying in the sky, and Rosemary's demon persona left for a person that I could best describe as the scariest version of a certified public accountant.
Yes. Here's the thing, and here's something that really got me mad, like Sexy Star, she, after it said, I'm not going to let people silence me. I'm going to use this as motivation. Motherfucker, you injured someone.
Yes, you injured someone legitimately in a wrestling match, in a scripted performance. Every wrestler from all sides of the yard and pretty much almost every promotion negatively criticized AAA and Sexy Star about this. Do you know how rare that is to happen to see all of these massive egos get along with one another and agree on something?
Yeah, and the thing is, it isn't even a bullshit reason. It isn't like them just all agreeing for some stupid made-up reasons for, I don't know, maybe so they can get some talent from AAA or something. Yeah. Like some sort of coup or something. No, this isn't that. This is a valid reason. You hurt a person.
Yes.
Fucking own it. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to use this as motivation to block out their haters, yada, yada, yada. No! You hurt someone. Say you're fucking sorry. Say you won't do it again. Hell, I'd honestly want you out of wrestling for at least a year. Sure. You should be suspended. You should be gone for an extended period of time because, like Fizzy said, you hurt someone in a scripted environment.
Yes.
Scripted. The main point of wrestling is not to beat the living crap out of your opponent. The wrestlers trust each other with their bodies in each and every match. And sometimes accidents will happen, yes, but this wasn't an accident. So the thing is, either Sexy Star is an utter moron who should never do an armbar because she doesn't know when it'll hurt someone, or Sexy Star knew it was hurting her and refused to let it go. Either way, it isn't good.
Of course it isn't good, but let's also look at the context of the situation, how it got to this point. Apparently, one of the wrestlers in the match who was competing in this fatal four-way had also gotten into a brawl with Sexy Star during the match. which almost legitimately injured Sexy Star, which, okay, you could see that as a positive right there. But
Yes.
because of how the culture is in Mexico, this is the biggest important difference that we as American viewers need to realize. This happened in Mexico. It is the literal lawless wild west of wrestling territories down there. There was so much seedy, questionable behavior that goes on down in Mexico, because, everybody knows about that, and how violent and dangerous the place is. And the reason that Rosemary did not legitimately try to shoot on Sexy Star in the locker room was because she did not want to go into a Mexican prison. She did not want to deal with the repercussions of injuring allegedly connected to the cartels wrestler.
Yeah. Well, from what I heard, it wasn't not Sexy Star. It wasn't Rosemary who shot on Sexy Star.
Oh, no, it wasn't. But she was an innocent bystander in the situation because of the way she reacted in the match. Sexy fought because of the way that Rosemary reacted, that she was in on the shoot.
Sexy Star's an idiot.
Oh, I know. But because of the way that it happened, Taya Valkyrie had apparently talked to this person before the match, and I can't remember her name. I think it was Lady Shanti or something. But I talked to the person before the match several days beforehand, and that caused the situation to escalate, which then led to a Rosemary getting injured. So Taya Valkyrie also has a small part of the blame in this situation for aggravating and stirring the drink when everybody needed to be calm in the situation and make sure that the plan went off flawlessly. Unfortunately, Sexy got paranoid and Taya aggravated the situation by asking somebody else to try and shoot on her. Which, okay, I understand that the situation is bad in AAA, but this also adversely affects GFW because guess who they're bringing into their roster? Taya Valkyrie.
Look, I won't defend Taya Valkyrie asking people to shoot on anyone. You shouldn't do that. But I'm not going to defend Sexy Star. I don't give a damn how paranoid someone is. You don't fucking shoot on anyone, period. Even if someone's asking someone to shoot on you, you don't shoot on them.
Of course.
It's fucking bullshit.
Of course. It's completely understandable, completely.
AAA needs to get rid of everyone who was involved in this. I don't care if it's just Sexy Star. I don't care if it's just Taya. I honestly prefer both of them based on what I'm hearing. Both of these people should be fucking fired and never hired by anyone else. Sexy Star is a piece of shit who has just added to her long list of bad behavior. And again, why the fuck did you put the belt on this woman?
Because the cartels asked, and the cartels have a stake in AAA. We know this, and it's a bad situation that hopefully at this point, because now everybody is looking at this promotion and going, what the heck are you doing again? I mean, you guys had basically been in the clear after, CMML decided to the several wrestlers from CMML decided to trash Ultimo Guerrero's car. It has not been a good year publicity-wise or PR-wise for Mexican wrestling.
Honestly, CMLL, that's only 2 wrestlers. And other than that, they've been fine. I mean, most of the people in CMLL have their heads on straight. I think it's mostly AAA, mainly because they have no management.
Of course they don't.
I mean,
they lost.
This. I mean, this is secondary, but guess who they kept the belts on?
Morrison, which was a shock to me, but that's probably because Vampiro has been manipulating things backstage so that Morrison keeps the belts at least until the next pay-per-view for AAA, and then they'll do something crazy and he'll drop the belts at the taping.
I'm pretty sure we all thought Morrison was leaving, and I'm pretty sure he is still leaving. If he isn't leaving, I have no idea how the hell they convinced him to stay.
Because GFW has a working relationship with AAA right now, and I think that they're trying to make sure that that keeps in place because they've got a lot of AAA wrestlers debuting for the company in GFW. Pagano's debuting for them soon. They have Garza Jr., Lariato Kid, and a bunch of other guys that are debuting. It's a complex web of political
stupidity.
Political stupidity, manipulation, the classic trappings of professional wrestling, which, aggravates us so much.
Well, it wouldn't aggravate me so much if these like political backstabbing and coups were at least somewhat remotely competent. They're not in AAA.
Of
It's just
course
like
not.
watching a bunch of incompetent dumbasses thinking they're the fucking Count of Monte Cristo. You're not, assholes. You're idiots. Seriously, you're not James Moriarty. You are Jim Benning. Shout out to anyone from Vancouver who will get that reference. I love you guys.
Oh, Jim Benning, the manager from the GM of the Vancouver Canucks.
Yes, that idiot. Seriously, these people are incompetent morons, yet they think they're these grand political maestros. They're not. Ugh. I miss this anger. Honestly, WWE couldn't elicit this anger out of me. All it elicited was utter boredom, but that's for next week. Even when they're doing cool stuff like the Mae Young Classic, they still have to fuck it up by having JR and Lita as insipid commentary.
Sure.
Did you hear any of that commentary, by the way?
I've actually been waiting until they release all the episodes first before watching the Mae Young. I am aware of the results of the majority of the matches, but you know, I feel as though at this point, wait until the end and wait until the finals on September 12th and just basically do what I did with the UK Championship Tournament, which was watch it all the way in one night, basically.
Oh, that makes sense. Let me just ask you this. Since you watch CMLL and you know about CMLL, would you call Princessa Suhei a high flyer?
Yeah.
You would? Really?
Honestly, I would, because of the fact that they're trying to sell us Lucha Libre in that situation. I know this Princess Suket is not a high flyer technically in the fact that, you know, she doesn't do flying moves that often. She used to do them more often earlier in her career, but not right now, obviously.
Well, yeah. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm talking, like, I know they're trying to sell us that idea of Lucha Libre, but that's kind of my point. Princessa Suhei is a typical submission wrestler. In her first round match, and then, you know, this is just the commentary. I won't say who won or not, even though you already know. I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen anything yet. In her first round match, they said her opponent, whose name eludes me right now, needs to try and ground Princessa Suhei to have the best chance of winning. And in that match, crap, I'm going to get... Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen.
Oh, I know the name of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll navigate you for this match in this case.
No. I mean, I'm just going to say the finish. So spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the finish of Princessa Suhei and whoever her opponent was in the first round. Put your speakers on mute. Just mute it all right now. In 3, 2, 1. Princessa Suhei won the match with an armbar.
Okay. It's an armbar.
Well, yes, but my point is they're saying you need to get her to the mat and try and submission her if you want a chance to win. Yet Princessa Suhei wins with an armbar. I know this is a complete and utter tangent that we didn't have planned, and I'm sorry for that.
Oh, that's fine.
But, you know, I'm just saying, like, it didn't make sense.
Like, it didn't make sense, of course, but that's because I think Jim Ross didn't know this wrestler particularly well, and you know,
and
I
that's
think
a problem.
Yes, I know that's a problem. I know that the good old JR isn't exactly what he used to be at this point, but considering the fact that his wife recently passed away a few months back, he still has amnesty with me right now about.
I don't want to be mean to him. I just want him to retire. Honestly, like I feel for the man, and I was thinking about this earlier in the week. I really do feel for the man. He tragically lost his wife in a gut-wrenching accident. You know, he's suffered numerous humiliating slights from this company in the past. I mean, this is a man who has had a rough life, especially recently with his wife. And I do feel for him. I don't want to be mean to the man. He's just not good at his job anymore. But and Lita is even worse. I mean, good Lord, the comment, like, I don't want to be mean, but man, they could have done better.
I know they could have done better, but again, we have to make the best of the situation at hand. The Mae Young Classic is now available on the WWE Network, folks. The first 4 episodes are out, and heck, there's always the mute button on commentary, and you can just watch the matches as is.
That's actually what I ended up doing. The first episode I muted it 7 minutes in, and then unmuted. I did think they got a little better in the episodes 2 through 4. I mean, I still had it muted for about half the time, but it was only half instead of like 3/4 of the time. So, you know, but yeah, there were some good first round matches, and you know, I'll leave the Mae Young Classic talk to more qualified individuals like Crazy Chris when he comes back next week because he knows a lot more of them. Suffice to say, I am completely sold on Kyrie Sane though.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, certainly. But that's for two guys in one sport next week or this week with Duke and Curtin Jerker and Chris when he returns from the bloodbath known as a Warhammer tournament. Yep. Seriously, Warhammer players are psychos.
Yes. Come on, I've seen plenty of psychos myself, but yes, that's for next week. We'll mention more of the Mae Young Classic next week ourselves. We'll make it around to it, or at least I will. Since I don't blame Fizzy because that's actually a pretty good idea. Just binge watch it all at once. But, I'm kind of the type of person who likes to watch it as it's happening. So, I'll mention some of it and I will throw up spoiler warning sections before we get into it. So anyone who wants to binge watch it and doesn't know the results like Fizzy, they can avoid or put us on mute.
Yeah. So after the explosive Donner Party start of AAA, and do want to minorly apologize for some of the excessive swearing, folks.
Sorry, that's my bad. I had a week off and I needed to vent on all of this stupidity. But
completely understandable there, my friend. Just wanted to let people know because we do have people who do watch the podcast who are younger viewers. And
don't say what I say.
Yes.
Do not grow up to be like me. I'm a terrible swearing person. Don't be sweary like me. There. We're covering our bases here.
Yes. I'm certain that people are constantly freaked out by my lack of swearing, honestly.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, except if, like the younger viewers who probably look up to you like, hey, that guy's a pretty good person. He doesn't swear all the damn time. Not unlike that Sal guy. That man has a mouth like a sailor. He needs to wash it out with some soap or something. I don't know.
Well, honestly, I think you don't swear as much as a sailor, but like I said, wanted to give that apology off to our viewers here, and well, let's get started with the Aki Basho. Now, folks, the sumo gods have blessed us this week because we didn't have to complain about WWE or its related programming because the Japanese Sumo Association released the Banzuke for the Aki Basho a little earlier than anticipated. So we have 42 competitors in the top division that will be competing for the Aki Basho. Now, this Basho is in September. And this is a Basho that is, let me think here. So where is the Aki Basho held exactly?
It's held in a place. Well, I'm glad you asked, Fizzy, because we were just there in our last show, I believe, when we talked about the finals of the G1 Classic.
Oh, the
climax.
Ryogoku
Kokugikan.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Nice.
It's going to be held from September 10th to September 24th. But, they released the Banzuke or the tournament rankings a little early. So we're going back to Tokyo again. It's like we never even left.
Yes, the sushi is great, and the sumo wrestling is fantastic, and regular wrestling coverage will resume next week, folks. Quick reminder before we get into our sumo-related discussion. Next week, we'll be talking about regular wrestling, but for now, it's currently in the hospital after having to deal with about a dozen or so skydiving sumo wrestlers squashing it flat.
Well, more like almost 4 dozen, because there's 46 of them here.
Yes, there's about 42, I think. It said at 42, right?
Okay. So 3.5 dozen. Still a lot of large men flying all over regular wrestling.
Yep. And even the majestic cruiserweights of professional wrestling couldn't match these sumo heavyweights.
I think Keith Lee could probably take some of them on. I'd love to see that.
Although he probably have problems with the Yokozunas.
Yeah. Well, he'd have problems with our first Yokozuna.
Okay. So we'll start things off, folks, by going from the Yokozuna to the Megashira 16. Yes, we have one Megashira 16 in this particular tournament, but we'll start with, who do you want to start with on the Yokozuna ranks?
We got to start from the top, my man. We got to start with the king of all sumo wrestlers currently, Hakuho.
Yeah.
Who was on a 2-tournament win streak. And in his last 2 tournaments has gone 29-1.
Yes, he only lost once, and that was in this last tournament.
Yes. at the time he lost, he had what, a 23-match win streak, I believe. Yeah. This guy in the last tournament also set the sumo record for most wins ever.
Yep. If you look at this guy's Banzuke, if you look at this guy's record, it's all green or yellow.
Yeah. This guy is the single most dominant sumo wrestler in history. He holds pretty much every record except for the most consecutive wins. And even that record, he only missed by like 2 or 3 wins. He was close.
He did beat Kayeto's 1047 record.
Yeah, which was the all-time win record. This is Hakuho. And this man is king of all sumo wrestlers, as I like to call him, Lord Hakuho, because he lords above all of them. I mean, the guy, like, you should have seen his last tournament. And for those who haven't, I'll post a link to some of the matches. In his matches, you could see he was playing with people. Like, he wasn't even really trying half the time, and he was still utterly dominant in every single match. He was like, he was a man amongst the boys. That is the best way to describe him.
A literal sumo god throwing people into the concession stands with his mighty power.
Yes. Like, I mean, I looked at this guy and I'm just like, I was honestly more surprised that he lost than that. Like, I would have, like, him losing was more surprising to me than him potentially going undefeated that tournament. You know, like, if he had gone 15-0, that would have been more believable than that 14-1. That's how I look at it, because that's how damn good he was.
He had a really good opponent, though, that we'll get to later that beat him in that one match, who has future Yokozuna written on all over him if he continues his great pace.
Yeah. But Hakuho, he's at the top once again. Funny thing about the Yokozuna, they didn't move from... No one changed their Yokozuna rank from the start of last tournament.
To this tournament, which Hakuho is currently a Yokozuna 1 East once again. I'm not sure he does so well in the Aki Basho, though.
I bet against him last time, man. I can't do it again. I just...
But this was the tournament where he sat out due to injury. He's not been in the Aki Basho since 2015 when he went 0-3-12. So this Aki is a Basho that has snake bit Akuho, and we'll see if Aki snakes bits him once again, because I'm thinking that he may go 12-3 in this Basho.
I mean, you know, yeah, it is. This could be the one Basho that's the monkey on his back. It will be interesting. His past 2 tournaments have seen him go to his previous dominance. The couple tournaments before that, he was injured. So, you know, I feel like if he can stay healthy and if he can start really strong out of the gate, he'll probably take it.
But the big important thing that we need to remind our viewers here is the fact that Hakuho, he used a lot of tricks in the last 2 Bashos to disguise the fact that his arm was injured. And I think that the wrestlers are going to counteract this. They figured out the one guy who beat him counteracted his moves. So there might be a few others that will try the same thing. So next up on this list is a guy that is starting to recover from some of his injuries, Haruma Fuji, the only other guy that nearly beat Hakuho in the last Basho.
Yeah, he had another, I believe this was his second 11-4 tournament, which is a very respectable record for a Yokozuna. I mean, ideally you'd like it to be a bit higher in winning, but 11-4 is never a bad record.
Yeah, he... continue.
And I was going to say, like, this was a guy up until 2 tournaments ago was, honestly, some people were saying the Japanese Sumo Association was going to, quote-unquote, force him to retire, because before then, he had been hurt, he hadn't looked very good, and the past 2 tournaments, he's really turned it around.
Yeah, he's turned it around. Starting in January, he went 4-3-8 due to injuries. He went 10-5. He went 11-4, and then 11-4 in the last tournament. He's West Yokozuna 1, and He is one of two Yokozuna wrestlers who's had to deal with the JSA this year, the other being Kakayuru, who is at Yokozuna 2 West. And we might as well talk about him next.
Yeah. The last of the three Mongolian Yokozuna, Kakuryu, along with Hakuho and Hirumafuji, because, yes, the Mongolians have owned this sport for what, like the last 10, 20 years?
10 years at this point, since about 2005, I think.
Yeah. And yeah, last tournament was not good for him. He went 2-2-11 and withdrew due to injury.
He's really got to do a good tournament in this particular instance.
Yeah.
But Aki has been kind to him. He went 10-5 in 2016, and he won the tournament in 2015 with a 12-3 record.
Yeah, so this could be his year, or not his year. This was his Basho, and for his sake, it better be, because good Lord, didn't he withdraw due to injury 2 tournaments ago too? I think this was his second. Yeah, this was his second straight tournament injury withdrawal. Not good.
Yeah, he's had 3 tournament withdrawals this year in January, in May, and in July. The Atsu, Natsu, and Nagoya Bashos he's had to withdraw due to injury. So this Basho, either he withdraws from injury and retires, or he goes on a torrid hot streak and beats everybody else.
Yeah.
And finally, the lone Japanese wrestler, Kasena Sato.
Yep, another disappointing tournament and another withdrawal from injury at 2-4-9. I mean, when the guy is on and when he's healthy, he is incredibly good. Hell, he won the what was it, the March tournament with like one arm.
Yes.
So, this guy is very, very good if he's healthy. The problem is he hasn't been healthy for the past, what was it? He has withdrawn from the past 2 tournaments due to injury too, hasn't he?
Yes, but unlike Akaguru, who's had more withdrawals due to injury and more losses against the lower salaried Megashira wrestlers, he is in a situation where it's completely fine for him to withdraw in those cases because he's recovering from injury.
Yep, and because he's actually won 2 tournaments this year. He won the first 2 of the year. So, I hope he gets healthy because I want to see a healthy Kisana Sato go up against a healthy Hakuho. That would be fun.
Yes, and the reason that he withdrew from the last tournament wasn't because of the arm. It was because of a left ankle ligament injury.
Yeah, I know. Like, for those who don't know, Sumo is actually very, very brutal. I mean, these guys, they do put up with a lot of abuse. I mean, this isn't easy. It might seem easy because the matches are typically about 5 to 10 seconds long, but no, they're actually pretty violent, especially the way a lot of them lose. You get thrown from the ring and you land awkwardly. I mean, that's where a lot of the injuries come from.
And some of the injuries also come in ring from accidental slipatoshis or, or accidentally running into the gyojis, or any sort of things or smacking into the salt thing on the sides of the ring.
By the way, how like terrifying would it be to be a gyoji and have a large, like 300-400 pound man come running at you?
They probably would actually be not fearful of the situation because the sumo wrestlers would probably be more fearful of the gyojis than the gyojis are fearful of them. Have you seen one gyoji in particular who does the mid-rank matches for the Megashira 7s to 5s is referee Konosuke. Dear Jesus, this guy is terrifying.
Yeah.
I know. She say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. Like, their voices, they carry very well. They have, like, a sort of militaristic tone to them, like people who would be in the military.
Yes.
Although I would say, I am so glad I am not a gyoji. I probably could not handle it. I'd be fearing for my life at every given minute.
As these 2 charging bulls try to knock one another out of the ring or try to get their hands onto the ring.
Yeah, seriously. And, we probably should mention this just to remind everyone, because it has been 2 months since the last one. The way to win sumo, you push your opponent out of the circle ring, or you get them to touch the ring with anything except the bottom of their feet. You do that, you win.
Yep. And the Gyojis are a very important part of sumo. They are the referees of the matches, and Yoshise is actually the words "get your hands down" in Japanese.
Yes, and that is something you constantly hear being said over and over in a sumo match, which is very. I love the way they say it though, like the way the voice carries the cadence of it. I don't know why, it just amuses me for some reason.
Also, do not mata, which means false start,
Oh
on
yeah,
on most of the Gyojis, because most of the Gyojis are not happy when you false start.
yes, and don't do that to Hakuho because he will make you die for doing that to him.
Yes, when the guy tried to use it as a tactical advantage, and Hakuho's like, okay, you're gonna inject into the fifth row today, buddy.
Yeah, seriously.
Literally, he got shoved into the fifth row.
Oh yeah, no, you think we're joking? No, he did go. I want to maybe not 5 rows. He at least went 2 rows deep.
Yes.
Serious. We're not kidding, people. This is how they do things. You don't mata. You don't do a false start. It is, 1, it's pretty disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
2, it pisses everybody off. And 3, you will get hurt. Like, seriously, something I've noticed is like most times the person who matas, they lose that match. And they lose violently.
But sometimes the mata succeeds in getting a psychological edge against the opponent, which is why sometimes they actually do that.
Yeah. They better hope it works better. But up next, we have the second best rank, the Ozekis.
Yes, and we have 3 of them in this particular basho, but 2 of them are going to be looking to please go 8 wins or longer, because I think one of them, are both of them Kaidoban, or?
Yeah, 2 of them are. Goeido went 7-8, and Teruno Fuji went 1-5-9. They're both Kaidoban. They can't lose, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Teruno Fuji continues his record as the most hated Ozeki at this point.
Yep, because of what he did to Koto Shogiku, who we'll get to him later, but good lord, has he had one hell of a free fall. But here's where we get to have more fun explaining sumo rules to everybody. Hooray! See, when you become an Ozeki, that's honestly pretty much the hardest rank to get and keep in all of sumo. Probably even harder than the Yokozuna rank. An Ozeki rank, in order to get it, you need to win 33 matches over your last, 3 tournaments, or 11 wins a tournament on average. And yeah, that's about it. But you need to do that, and that's incredibly hard. In order to keep the rank, you can't have 2 losing tournament records in a row. If you have anything lower than an 8-7, you're put in what is called Kadoban, which comes from Japanese, I believe it's a shogi term meaning, not shogi, go term meaning check. It pretty much means you're on the chopping block. If you have another bad rank, if you have another non-winning record, you're demoted to Sekiwaki, which is the rank below Ozeki. Now, if that does happen, you have a one-time ticket, get back into Ozeki free card, which means if you get a winning record that tournament, or if you get 10 wins in that Sekiwaki rank for the first time you got demoted back to it, you get back to Ozeki without having to do the 33 wins over 3 tournaments. It's a one-time thing only, though. And it's very hard, and that's kind of why Teruno Fuji got really hated, but we'll get to that. But yes, we have 2 Ozekis who are in Kadoban. I do not envy them.
But they've been in this position countless times before, and the thing is with these 2 is that I think they should be able to get their win total records so long as they don't run into any issues with any of the other Sekiwakis, Komosubis, or any of the Megashira they'll be facing.
Yep. I'm honestly, here's the thing with Goeido and Teruno Fuji, and that's something I've noticed. Excuse me. They constantly go good record, then they put in Kadoban, good record, then they're putting Kadoban, good record, then they're putting Kadoban. It's like a constant thing. Takayasu is the only person who's not in Kadoban, and this was his last tournament was his first as an Ozeki. He went 9-6. Not a great record, but for your debut as Ozeki, you could have done a lot worse.
Yes, I think honestly the nerves and the jitters got to Takayasu last tournament about him being an Ozeki, and he had a jittery first 5 days. He ended up losing a couple of his matches, but he managed to recover a little bit. But then he split a little bit during the last 5 days of the tournament, which led to a couple more losses. So
yeah. But he still had a decent record, a decent tournament. A lot of people last tournament would have been happy with 9-6. And something to keep in mind, last tournament was a very odd one, especially early on, because a lot of the Yokozuna lost and the Ozeki lost a lot as well, as we can see from their records.
I think his last 4 losses were actually in the last 4 days of the tournament.
Oh yeah, Takayasu, that's right. Yeah, he started like 0-2 or like 1-1 or something, and then he went on a tear, and then he dropped his last 4. So, Goedo went 7-8 last tournament. Stayed at Ozeki 1 West. I mean, it is what it is. He's looking to go 8-7 at least, as we said. And Tsuruno Fuji went 1-5-9 and withdrew to injury. He went from Yokozuna 1 East last tournament to Yokozuna 2 East because he did the worst.
Well, he went to East Ozeki in this case.
Yeah.
Although, ironically enough, Ozeki was actually the highest rank in sumo before Yokozuna was brought in about the late 1800s.
Yep. And honestly, the thing is, Yokozuna is pretty much, when it was originally established, it was just an Ozeki that had a license to do their own entrance ceremony.
And also perform in front of the Shogun.
Yeah, that was pretty much the only difference to it. We're even giving you sumo history on this show. We're covering all our bases.
Well, that's what we always do on this show. We want to cover the history from an intellectual perspective of the world of professional wrestling, and in this case, sumo wrestling.
Yes. I don't want to become a history teacher for nothing, people. But yes, these 3, I mean, I think Takayasu, I mean, like, I love his style. I think he's very capable. Like, he's a guy who, if he can get a good jump off the initial charge, he will blow you up. But there are people who, if they can get a hold of his belt, they can do some damage to him because he's typically a thrusting Rikishi.
Yes, he's very strong, but very easy to get into situations where he's on the edge of the ring and he can be either thrown out of the ring or he can be pushed down. And unfortunately for him and the rest of the Ozekis, the Sekiwakis and the Komusubi are actually pretty strong this time around in this tournament.
Yeah.
Starting with the one guy who managed to beat the king last tournament, Mitakumi.
Yep. This guy, I said it a few tournaments ago, keep your eye out for him. This guy is a young guy with a lot of potential. He's at his highest ever rank once again. He's at Sekiwaki East. And last tournament, he went 9-6, which is actually a very solid rank for a Sekiwaki. And he actually won the Outstanding Performance Prize. So, I mean, he only moved up 1 rank, but still, it's all he really could move up because he's not really, his record hasn't been good enough for the Ozeki rank yet. So.
But he's going to start going on a tear here pretty soon. Either he'll go on a tear here or he'll go on a tear in the November mass show, depending on what happens. Yeah. Now, this guy is a pushing and thrusting guy, but the thing is that he is a jack of all trades, master of actually some in his terms of sumo. This guy can literally wrestle you on the mat in the literal sense of pushing them down onto the mat. This guy can throw you into the stands. This guy has the strength to deal with the bigger wrestlers, but also is agile enough to deal with the smaller wrestlers. I've always been really high on Mitakumi, and I think he'll do okay in this tournament. I think he might go 9-6 again, just based on the strength of the wrestlers that are involved. Some of them have come back from injury. Kanasena Sato is going to be healthy. Kakayuru is going to be determined to try and win in this tournament. Goedo and Tenabuchi are trying to prevent being Kataban, so there's a lot going against Mitakumi in this particular instance.
Yep. I think 9-6, maybe 10-5, maybe 10-5. I feel like if he really, because he's still young, let's keep in mind, he's only like 23, 24? So, I mean, I feel like if he can really put all of his potential and everything he's shown me so far into this tournament, I think he can very easily go 10-5. But, you know, I feel like he'll have a good, solid tournament himself. And up next is Yoshikaze, who, again, he had a solid tournament last time, too. He was Komosubi East, or 1 East last tournament. He's now Sekiwaki West and went 9-6 last tournament. So, you know, the Wall did pretty good last tournament. And for those who don't know, the Wall is like the Sekiwakis, Komosubis, and Megashira is like what, 1 through 4?
Yep.
Yeah. They're the guys who have to go up against the Yokozuna and the Ozeki early on. They're putting the dangerous spot of the trial by fire to see how good you are. So,
survive against our mightiest champions, and you will proceed forward in rank. Fail, and you will fall off the wall and crash into the audience.
Yeah, it's pretty much like go up against our mightiest warriors, and if you succeed, great bounty and all that will await you. Great bounty and treasure will await you. If you fail, well, it was nice knowing you. It's like they're sending them off to slay a dragon. You know what I mean?
Or that they're going into an anime tournament arc.
Yes, exactly. But yes, Yoshikaze, a very, very solid tournament last time. He's been good lately.
Oh, yes, he's become very, very crafty. He's basically the Takekaze of the upper level division. This guy can counter most moves that are gone against this guy. Because if you try and charge him, he will sidestep you. If you try to go against him in a belt grappling contest, you will find out that this guy is surprisingly strong for his size, and he'll throw you out of the ring. If you try to grapple with him and try to push to a force down, the guy will literally throw you to the mat. He is he's listed as the 2C Oshi, which means he prefers pushing and thrusting moves as opposed to fighting the bonus Mawashi, but he can do that too.
Yep. And that's the thing we should point out. I mean, the people who work on the Mawashi, they've been good these last few tournaments.
You know? Because of the slippery mat surface that they've had to deal with the last few Bashos. Now, it might not necessarily be the case with Aki, but we'll see how it works out. This guy is also the oldest Sekiwaki that has ever been promoted at 35 years of age.
He's he's showing people age is just a number.
Yep, age is just a number, and it's interesting to see that the youngest Sekiwaki is Mitakume and the oldest is Yoshikaze.
Yep. It will be interesting to see how each of them do in this tournament. Will we see a young, fiery upstart showing everyone what's going on, or will we see the old, wily veteran showing how you do things? But now we move to the last of the upper ranks, the lowest of them, and that's the Komosubi rank. And at Komosubi East, and for the first time in 4 tournaments, it's Tamawashi.
Strange Samawashi.
I know. It's weird because for the past 4 tournaments, he had been ranked Sekiwaki. Like, this is weird to see him not being ranked Sekiwaki. That was his rank for, you know, pretty much a year almost. And here he is, not Sekiwaki. Last tournament, he went 7-8.
And lost the spot to Mitakumi, who had a better record, and Yoshikaze, who had a better record.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how hard it is to keep your rank, especially in like the upper ranks. Like Sekiwaki is not as hard as Ozeki. Well, it's not as easy to get. It's not as hard to get to become a Sekiwaki as it is an Ozeki, but it's harder to keep your Sekiwaki rank because you don't have that built-in, you know, you can have one bad tournament. It's pretty much, no, you must always be having a good tournament, or, yeah, no, goodbye, you're back to Komosubi, or, hell, some people have gone straight back to Megashira. So, you know, he's looking to improve. I hope he does improve, but saying that, he wasn't the worst last tournament. There were some very disappointing people last tournament who I had expected far more from. We'll get to them.
Yes. The one person who did very well in this tournament, however, is the first of the ones who is in the second Komosubi spot, which is Toshinozan.
Yep. Last tournament, this guy had a hell of a tournament.
He went Megashira 5, which was one of the best positions to be in the tournament. He went 12-3.
Yeah. The dude had a coming out party, and he said, nope, come at me. And he went all the way up to Komosubi West for Megashira 5 West. That's a hell of a jump. What are you expecting from him, Fizzy? Do you think he hits up against the wall, or do you think he breaks through it?
He's been in the Fizzy Wacky and Komusubi conversation before, and typically in the fall and winter tournaments, he does pretty decently at about 8 and 7, which I think will probably happen here as well. He might not retain his Komusubi rank past this tournament, but he might surprise some people and actually go on a bit of a hot streak.
Yeah. I feel like if he goes 8 and 7, I'm thinking he'll probably he'll hang on to his Komusubi, but he probably won't advance. You know, hopefully he keeps on to it. After him, we get to the Mega Shiras. These are the rest of them, as Fizzy likes to call them, the rank and filers, which, you know, they're still very good because keep in mind there's like, 5 or 6 other divisions below the Makuchi division, which is where all these guys are. But still, these are the guys who you have some expectations for, like 1 through 4. After that, they're still good, but they're like the rest of the best.
And this guy, and the next guy here, Toshinoshin, is actually pretty decent. The guy has been recovering from a knee issue, and the last 2 tournaments, he's actually posted a very good record. East Megashira 10, top runner-up, 12 and free in the May tournament, Aki Basho. East Megashira 2, 9 and 6, also got a Kimboshi in this tournament.
That's when, and for those who don't know, that's when a Mega Shira wrestler defeats a Yokozuna. So, yeah, you know, he's at Mega Shira 1 East. He's right in the middle of that wall, but, you know, the past 2 tournaments for him have been very, very good. I feel like if he can keep up his momentum, he'll probably get ranks. And I mean, we saw last tournament he could handle the wall because he was in the wall.
He had been in the wall beforehand in 2010 and 2011 as West Komusubi won on several occasions. He had an injury in 2013, a knee injury that forced him to sat out due to injury, and he's climbed back up the ranks. He went from West Makoshita 15 in 2014 to being East Megashira 8 by the end of the year in November of that year.
Yeah, so this has been a guy who's made a steady climb all the way back up to this point. And, you know, I think he'll be good.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine as long as he doesn't have any more issues with his knee. But that's always a possibility with Toshinoshin. He might actually struggle in this tournament. In the past, last year, he finished 5 and 10 in the 2016 version of the Aki Basho. So we'll see if he improves from there.
Yeah, you better hope he does. And after him, we have, oh, geez, I feel bad for this guy a little bit. The continuing fall of the once mighty Ozeki, Koto Shogiku. Last tournament, he went 7 and 8. And which, honestly, I mean, considering how he started, like 1 and 6, I think?
Yeah.
He finished strong. It wasn't enough to save his Komusubi rank. And this is his 2nd demotion in a row and his 3rd demotion in the past 4 tournaments. Ever since he went 9 and 6 against and lost his last match against Teruno Fuji, which cost him his one-time easy back into Ozeki, the dude's just been in a free fall.
Sure, but he's gone 7 and 8 and 7 and 8. But, you know, I think at this point the guy is just very content right now with where he is. He's in the Megashira ranks, yes. But I feel like at this point he still enjoys doing sumo. And as long as he can at least keep it at a moderately decent record, he will basically go the Konishiki route and basically be in the Megashira ranks for maybe a year or so or more, depending on if he wants to continue or not. But it's completely up to him.
It's kind of sad, though, because you see a guy who was once, you know, near, like, pretty much at the top, you know, and then he's just, like, fallen down. It's a little sad.
However, odd statistics at this point actually point in his favor. Last 4 years has gone 10 and 5, 9 and 6, 11 and 4, and 9 and 6 in the Aki Basho.
If he can get a good tournament this time and, you know, hope some of the Fizzy Wacky and Komusubi do a little worse than him, he's at a high enough rank where, you know, he'll get back into those ranks. I don't think he'll ever get his Ozeki rank back, mainly because he's like, what, 35, 36?
He is 33.
Oh, 33. Okay, a little younger, but still, the guy's wrestle has had a lot. He has a lot of mileage on him. I mean, I guess it could be possible, but like we said before, getting to Ozeki is one of the hardest things to do.
Yep.
So
Ozeki and Yokozuna are the two hardest ranks for a reason, and that's why that they're so hard to achieve. But it's also really interesting to see which wrestlers get into the top division ranks like that.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of, well, we'll get to them in a bit, but up after Hokuto Shogiku, we have Hokuto Fuji, who moved up a rank. He had a solid 8-7 tournament, which for a lot of people in the wall, they wish they had gone 8-7. He also had a Kimboshi, and he moved up from 2 West to 2 East.
Solid wrestler. This is his 3rd year in sumo. He's been very quickly rising up the ranks, and he won the Juryo tournament in 2016 at the Aki Basho last year, ended up as West Megashira 11, and has had a consistently okay run throughout his sumo career in the top division ranks. East Megashira 8, 9, and 6, West Megashira 5, 7, and 8, East Megashira 7, 10, and 5, and West Megashira 2, 8, and 7, with his very first Kimboshi.
Yep. So, he's a guy who's had a couple good tournaments, couple middling of the road tournaments, He's still young, though, and he's still only in, like like you said, in his first year at the top level. So, I can see him improving as time goes on. He's one of those young guys who has a lot of potential, and we're looking at his rank, and, yeah, he's still really solid. A lot of people wish he had done what he did.
And then we have the oddity at Megashira 2 West. The guy who finished in the runner-up spot.
Yeah. Who, before that, had been kind of inconsistent. I have no idea what happened. Finished 13-2 last tournament, and was the only person who for most of the tournament could even remotely challenge for taking the title instead of Hakuho. Aoyama.
Yeah. Aoyama, he had an amazing tournament. The slippery surface at Nagoya really suited his style of sumo. He is one of the heavyweights of the sumo division. As in, he's like the near heaviest sumo wrestler in that spot.
Yeah, if you haven't seen him, he is seriously one of the biggest guys there. And, I thought he had a very impressive tournament, and it was kind of refreshing to see someone who last tournament was Megashira 8 East go and do that well. He also won the Fighting Spirit Prize, so I mean, I think, I mean, again, it's kind of hard to say how good he was because for most of the tournament he didn't really have to face any of the very strong sumo wrestlers because he was outside the wall. He was facing a lot of the lower ranked guys. So,
traditionally in the East Megashira 1 or 2 spots, he tends to typically go about, 9-6, 8-7, those ranks there. Sometimes he goes 5-10, but I think in this tournament, Aki has been historically a very strong tournament for Aoyama. At East Megashira 3 in 2014, he finished 10-5. In 2015, he finished 7-8 at East Megashira 1. In 2016, he finished 9-6. There's potential here, folks, that he might have a good run here, or he might run against the wall.
Yep. Well, this is the odd year, so, it might not be his year. Who knows?
Next up is the hard-charging Ono Show, who is now Megashira 3 East.
In his 3rd tournament at the top level.
Yep.
His first 2 tournaments, he went 10-5 in both of them. This is a person who has a lot of potential and is very good. But my main question is, again, like Aoyama, last time he was outside the wall.
Although he was closer to the wall being the West Megashira 6.
That is true, yes. But, I am very impressed by him. Going 10-5 in your first 2 tournaments, that's good. That is very good.
Let's see how he does against the top division guys, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Can he keep it up? That's the big question. He's a guy with a lot of potential. I hope he can keep it up.
And it's interesting fact about this guy, he's the only top division ranked wrestler from the Omatsu stable.
Well, there they go. They got their guy, potentially. Hopefully he does good. He's young, very young. Yeah, I think he's younger than me.
Yeah, he's 21 years of age.
Yeah, he's probably younger than me because I'm about to be 22. So yes, he's someone I have a lot of expectations for, but at the same time, will he live up to them? That's the good question. Yeah.
Then we have, once again, the first of the Chio Brigade, Chio Taru.
Yep. He was another person who had a very surprising and very good tournament. Last tournament, he was at Megashira 10 East. This tournament, he's at 3 West. You can tell he had a good tournament, and he did. He went 10-5.
Yeah.
I mean, it was weird last tournament. Like we touched on it. I touched on it earlier, but the lower ranked guys, a lot of them did really good.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it was, if they were just like, you know what, screw it, we're going out there and we're going to kick some ass or what. But
the slippery ring surface and the incredible heat definitely played into the hands of the lower ranked wrestlers in the last tournament.
Yeah.
And in this situation, I think Chio Taru will probably be one of the few that has will run into the wall head first, because he's a one-time Komosubi. He's been in the wall before, but I think that he'll probably go 7-8 this tournament.
Yeah, that usually happens to a lot of people in that area. Like they'll go 7-8, 6-9, 5, maybe 5-10, maybe if they're lucky they'll go 8-7. Like we said, 1 through 4, Megashira is one of the hardest places to be in. But we'll see how he does.
Next up is Shohozan.
He was at 10 West. He's now at 4 East, one right behind Chio Tairyu. I think we can both guess what his record was.
10-5.
Yep. And there's another guy who, again, lower ranked, kicking ass. What are your expectations from Shohozan, Fizzy?
I think he probably goes maybe either 7-8, 6-9, or he might have a 10-5 record in him, or 9-6 record in him, depending on the matchups that he gets in the early portion of the tournament, and if he's been able to return to his old form that he had a couple years ago. He's a very inconsistent wrestler, but he's also very good at catching the Yokozuna off guard. He has a lot of kimboshis to his name.
Yep. And now we move on to one of my favorites, Ura. Last tournament he didn't get demoted. He was at 4 West again, but this was kind of one of his, I would say this was like a bit of a step back from what I wanted to see. Although he did apparently suffer, he didn't withdraw or anything, but he suffered a minor injury, or he got banged up a bit. He went 7-8 with a Kinboshi. And he was, again, like I said, at 4 West last time. He's at 4 West this time. This is still only his 4th tournament in the top division. But, I'm curious because his past 3 tournaments in the top division, 8-7 at West Megashira number 12, 11-4 at West Megashira number 10, 7-8 at East Megashira number 4 with a Kinboshi, his first Kinboshi. Now, here's my question. Was that East Megashira number 4, 7-8? Was that a one-off and he's going to come out stronger this time? Or is this what we're going to expect from him in the wall?
No, I think at this point that the reason for that happening was that he injured his ligaments in his right knee. That during a match against Takayatsu, he beat Takayatsu but injured his knee in the process. If he had a month off to recover from the injury, I think that he will do decently in this tournament because he's crafty enough to know to get his strengths and hide his weaknesses, and I think he'll do okay in this tournament. I think he might go 9-6 in this tournament if the knee is okay, and if he's willing to unleash his unpredictable sumo style against the regulars in the top division. But I think that they might be starting to figure him out a little bit.
It's kind of hard to adapt to him though, because we've seen his style before. He goes low.
Yes.
Very low.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like Fizzy mentioned, this guy is a very unconventional sumo wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people call it the submarine.
Yes. Him
And
and Shura do the submarine style.
yeah, it's a very interesting technique because he goes for people's legs to pretty much pull their legs out from under them,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people don't really know how to defend against. But at the same time, it puts him in an increased danger since all he needs to do is touch the mat with anything but the bottoms of his feet.
Mm-hmm.
So putting a good portion of your body closer to the surface of the mat,
Mm-hmm.
well,
Mm-hmm.
you can see how that might be an issue.
The problem that the Sumos will face against with Ura is the fact that the guy weighs 302 pounds, and his two techniques are the Ashitoshi leg grab and the Izori backwards body drop. Yes, backwards body drop.
Yes.
The kind of thing that you hear about in professional wrestling, but is
Yes.
actually being used in sumo, and yes, I have seen this man do it.
Yes, so have I. This guy is good. I mean, that's the thing, like we said. The biggest thing with Ura is his unpredictability. No one knows how he's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I mean, like Fizzy said, he's 300 pounds, but the funny thing is, that's one of the lighter sumo wrestlers. He's on the lighter side.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's why he goes low, to make up for his lack of strength. He isn't a guy who will face you really head on. Mm-hmm. He's someone who will go low and push up go low and grab your legs. He's not someone who will just face you head on in the charge.
Mm-hmm.
So
he will have a decent record, I think, but I'm not sure he'll have a really great record unless the gods of sumo shine upon Ura and we'll see him go and have a winning record.
Yeah.
Next is the mystery of Shodai. He's at East Megashira 5 after being East Megashira 1 last tournament by going 5-10 and having a Kimboshi.
Yeah. I have no idea what to make of Shodai. I think I've said this before. Because sometimes, like, seriously, this is his last 6 tournaments. Or his last 5, we'll do 6, excuse me. 7-8, 11-4, 7-8, 4-11, 10-5, 5-10 with a Kimboshi. And in that first 11-4, he won the Fighting Spirit prize. I mean, he's so inconsistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very inconsistent in the ring, and the thing is that wrestlers are able to adapt to his basic style of sumo. He is primarily a Yoshisu sumo wrestler, which focuses on grappling techniques to push his opponents. While he's a decent grappler, when he goes up against guys who are better than him, he is a guy that tends to falter.
Yep.
And he also went to the Tokyo University of Agriculture, of all places.
It's a nice place to go to.
Yeah.
You can learn about farming while doing sumo.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's a guy who went into the wall last tournament. Now, Shota, I think he'll probably go maybe 6-9 in this tournament. Depends on if things go his way or not.
You better hope he does better than 6-9.
Yes. His next guy is Takashi Shoyu.
So, we know what Shota was at last time, 1 East. This guy last time was 1 West. Now, kids at home, can you tell me what was this guy's record last time?
If you said 5-10, you'd be correct.
Yep, you did good, kids at home. Once again, the wall got destroyed at some points. It was weird. Like, some parts of the wall stood up nicely. You know, like Tochinoshin and Tochinoshin.
Yeah, Tochinoshin,
Makoto Fuji.
Makoto Fuji, Oyama, they all did decently. They were in the lower ranked parts though. Takeshi Shoyu was in Megashira 1 West. He went 5-10, but he had a really good showing last tournament, even in the defeats.
Yeah, he was weird. Like, he showed a lot of strong stuff. He just got beat. And it was weird to see him get that. I mean, keep in mind, this is only his 5th tournament in the top division. The 2 tournaments before that, he went 11-4 in both of them. So, you know, the question will be, which one will we see? Because his 4 tournaments so far have been 7-8, 11-4 with the Fighting Spirit prize, 11-4, 5-10. Are we going to see March and May Takakeisho? Or are we going to see January or July Takakeisho?
I think we'll see March and May because he's now back in the Megashira 5 spot. And traditionally, the last time he was in the Aki Basho, he was East Giro 9 and he went 10-5. And then in November, he went West Giro 3 and was the champion of that division.
Yep.
Also, he's a Takanohara wrestler. This guy will probably adapt to what happened to him the first time around. And remember when we said about the false start thing earlier in the show? This was the guy who false started on Hakuho.
Yep. This was the guy who went 5 rows deep.
And then there was also that weird moment during the part of the Basho where Hakuho and Takashisho, you are basically standing in the middle of the ring. And Hakuho was like, come at me, bro.
Seriously. And, you tried to come at him, but, well.
He went with a very basic sumo style that was very easy to counter, and he ended up getting thrown into the ring, out of the ring.
Yeah. Takakeisho, I'm sorry, but, dude, if you go at Hakuho, if you swing at Hakuho, you best not miss, son. Seriously. But from Takakeisho and his completely inconsistency, we go to Ichinojo, his complete consistency of mediocrity.
7-8 last tournament.
Yep. Oh, Ichinojo, there's that 7-8 mediocrity I've come to know and love from you.
He's one of the heaviest division wrestlers in the top division. He never uses his size or weight, though, for whatever reason.
Yeah. See, Aoyama used that last time. Ichinojo, what were you doing, friend?
Yeah.
Seriously, this guy, he can have so much potential. I've seen flashes of it. He's had a couple 11-4s. Hell, in his first tournament in the top division, he went 13-2, was runner-up, had a Kinboshi, won the Fighting Spirit Prize and the Outstanding Performance Prize. And then went West Sakiwaki #1 and went 8-7. Then he went 6-9 at West Sakiwaki #1 and got demoted. But the thing is, he started so strong. He's had a couple good tournaments, but most of them are like 7-8, 8-7, 6-9, or 9-6. This is most of his records. He is like he'll have flashes of brilliance, but in the end, he's mediocre.
And that's partially due to a herniated disc problem that he's been having over the last, because of his heavy weight. Now, honestly, if he loses more weight, he might actually do a little bit better. But at the same time, though, he's also a grappling specialist. This guy is mainly a belt wrestler, but he has trouble fighting on the belt occasionally against smaller wrestlers or people who can counter his techniques, which are rather basic, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, he has, like you said, he has tried to lose some weight, and he has lost 30 kilograms. So, hopefully he can get better. Hopefully. It's just weird because, and the biggest issue with him, and others have mentioned this, he always gives up when he's about to be pushed out. He never fights or tries to reverses it. He just lets it happen. That is his biggest weakness. You need to fight, man. You could probably win a couple of those if you at least tried to reverse it or fight out of it. That's what makes a great sumo wrestler. Someone who, when they're on the edge of the doyo, when they're on the edge of getting pushed out, they'll reverse it and get the win. He never does that.
Then we have Kagayaki. If we go from one inconsistent wrestler to the second inconsistent wrestler.
Yep. He went 5-10.
Although he was going against some really tough competition, and honestly, his style of sumo is decent.
Yeah. He's another weird one. I mean, his first debut into the top division happened in 2016. So, and then he went down to Jurio for another 2 tournaments, but then he came back, and he's been in the top division ever since July of 2016. So, he's still young. He hasn't been there for like ever. But a lot of his stuff, he's another mediocre wrestler. Most of his records, 9-6, 9-6, 7-8, 8-7, that kind of stuff. Very middle of the road.
Yep.
You know, and I don't know.
His first visit to the wall was a 5-10 record, though, so that's a decent record. Not the best, not the worst, but considering everybody else was struggling in this tournament, he actually did pretty decently, especially in the last several days. He's now at West Megashira 6, which is a much better position for him at this point. He's never been in that rank before. He's usually been in either the 16, 9, or 11, or 14 spots on the Banzuke.
Yep, this is actually his second highest rank.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when I saw him only going down to 6 after his 5-10 record, I'm thinking, well, he can thank his lucky stars. So many others did worse than him.
Mm-hmm. One guy who did improve his record in the tournament is Chino Kune.
And the next of the Chio Brigade.
Mm-hmm.
At 11 East, he went 8-7 and went up to 7 East. I mean, there's really not much more to say than that. Good on you, man. You didn't get demoted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't get demoted to Jurio, which would have been the result if he had a worse record. But many people below him actually had worse records than he did.
Yeah.
So he'll have...
Weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
I mean, that whole tournament last time, I mean, for anyone who hasn't seen it and wants to get into sumo and watch it, I'd suggest watching that tournament because it was just a weird one all around.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, yeah, Chio no Kuni, the Chio Brigade, they held strong. And, you know, an 8-7 record, a lot of people would have killed for that 8-7 record last time.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it is what it is. Oh, geez, this guy.
Ikoi.
Holy crap, did the wall just destroy this man?
Yes.
3 East, 4-11.
Admittedly, he was a very, very feisty 4-11 and fought throughout the entirety of the tournament with a lot of fighting spirit. Take notes. Let's see here. Take notes. Ichinojo.
Yeah. Oh, man, this was bad, though.
Mm-hmm.
This is another guy with a lot of inconsistencies.
But he's actually a much better wrestler than his record indicates in this case.
Yeah. He has gotten up to Sekiwaki, so, you know, for one tournament before going straight back down. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm. So I expect that he'll have a consistently decent record this tournament. He went 7-8 last year at West Megashira 7. He's at West Megashira 7 once again. I think he'll have maybe a 9-6 record this time around because he did win 11-4 in the 2015 version, and in 2014 he went 10-5 at Megashira 5.
Yeah, keep in mind in 2013 he went 5-10 though, so you know. Hopefully it's like he'll have one bad year and then have 2 good years and have 1 bad year.
Mm-hmm. Although this was the first full year that he was in the regular Megashira ranks in 2013.
Yeah, that is true. You never know. Hopefully he'll do good. We'll see what happens. After him
is Chio Soma.
Another of the Chio Brigade, and the first one to not do very well.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 Chios actually improved their ranks.
Mm-hmm.
This Chio was letting the side down and getting sent down the rankings. He was at 5 East, went 5-10.
Mm-hmm. He's now at East Megashira 8, and I think Chio Soma's going to bounce back. He's been dealing with some injury issues, but I think that his style is really good for the Aki Basho. He went 6-1 in East Megashira 11 and was champion in 2015, and West Megashira 12 in his debut at the Aki Basho. In the top division ranks, he went 8-7.
Yep. He really needs a good tournament this time because the last 2 tournaments he's gone 5-10.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so hopefully he can improve. I mean, you know, this is a guy who his first 4 tournaments, 8-7, 9-6, 7-8, 9-6, and then he had those 2 5-10s. So, you know, this will be only his 7th tournament at the top division. You know, so how good will he be? We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think that would be very interesting to see how he does in this particular tournament because, you know, if it's a If he does well, he does well, and if he doesn't do well, then okay, then he's in a situation where he can improve his record massively by being in this particular rank.
Yeah, if he doesn't do well, he's probably looking at depending on how bad he does. I mean, if he goes like 5-10 again, he's probably getting dropped down to like what 12.
Well, 12. I think he's in a safe spot right now, though, so he's in a decent spot.
Yeah.
One guy who improved his record last tournament was Takara Fuji. He was at East Megashira 13. It went 9-6.
Yep. He was one of those guys who needed to have a good tournament, or he was going back down to Jurio. Good on you, my man. You had a good tournament.
Typically, this guy is usually in the upper ranks of the Megashira 1s and 2s. He actually does very well on the wall and is a very crafty wrestler. I think he has a good tournament again this time by going either 9-6 or 10-5.
That was a nice return to form for him, that 9-6, because the 3 tournaments before that was 3-12, 7-8, and 6-9. So, and this is a guy who has been pretty high. He was a West Sakiwaki 1, so
Another guy that had a decent tournament was Takanoa. I know he had a losing record at 6-9, but it could have been a heck of a lot worse if he had not gone on a late charge in the Basho.
Takanoa was a tale of 2 tournaments for him. He started about 0-7. If I remember right. Wasn't he the guy who went 0-7 at the beginning?
Yes.
Yeah. And he finished 6-2. So, it's weird. Which Takanoya from last tournament will we see? Will we see the one who started 0-7, one of the worst starts I had ever seen? Or will we see 6-2?
I think we probably might see 6-2, depending on if he's improved his technique a little bit and if he has improved his start times, because he was getting beaten on the start a lot in his losses.
Yeah, oh man, I mean, it just wasn't a good start for him. There's really nothing else to say.
But he's at Megashira 9 East, and that's a good rank for him to be at for having a good record. I think he'll probably go 9-6, going, conservative on this one.
Yeah.
Then we have Arewashi, another guy who had a decent tournament last time. East Megashira 12 was at 8-7. He's at Megashira 9, and I think he'll do okay in this tournament.
Yeah, I think he'll have a decent tournament. Like you said, he's one of those guys who's in a position to where they can have a decent tournament, based on their ranking.
And then we have the guy who's sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, Ishura. He wins 7-8 at West Megashira 8 and is now at East Megashira 10. I think he does okay in this tournament.
Yeah, Ishura is a guy who I see a lot of stuff that he can be very good, and other times he's not very good. You know what I mean? Like some matches I'll be like, wow, that guy looked really good. Other matches I'm like, geez, this guy just got completely blown up.
But then again, he is one of the lightest wrestlers in the top division. Yes, lightest wrestler. This guy weighs only 260 pounds.
Yeah. So, it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, if his technique is good, I think he'll do okay. I think he'll probably go 8-7 again.
Yeah.
Which is a conservative estimate for his rank because he's at Megashira 10. Then we have the oldest man in the division, Takakaze, at 38 years of age at Megashira 10 West.
Yeah, he was the guy who needed a good tournament to avoid demotion to Jurio, because last time he was at 12 West. Well, the old guy said, "I'm not ready to go back down to Jurio," because he went 8-7 and kept his spot in the top division. He's at 10 West now, and he's probably looking to build on that.
He is a very crafty wrestler, very good at counters, very good at the henkas, very good at getting the jump on the younger wrestlers. He is old and wily and crafty. He knows what the heck he is doing. He has a book of sumo techniques and is not afraid to use them. I think that he has a decent record this tournament. If not, he'll probably go about 7-8.
Yeah. I hope he does pretty good because, I don't want to see him go back down. It's mainly because, he is the oldest guy. It's kind of cool to see the old guy still be in there, but it is what it is. After that, we have Daisho, who Oh, geez, man.
Yeah, he went 5-10, which was better than the May tournament, which we went 4-11.
Yeah, but he didn't even have the excuse of being in the wall. He was at 7 West last time. Tournament before that, he had that excuse.
I think he'll do at least decently in this tournament. If not, he'll probably go 5-10 again and be demoted back to Juryo.
Yeah, he better do better. And for the last of the Chio Brigade,
we have Chio Maru, the guy who returned to the top division after being away for nearly 2 years.
Yep. And he was at 15 West last time, just getting back into it. And he's like, well, I'm here. I can't let my team down. I can't let the Chios down. And he's decided, nope, not going to let it happen. And went 9-6 and is still up here.
Yep, he is now at West Megashira 11, and his pushing and freshening techniques were perfect for the slippery surface at the Nagoya Basho.
Yeah, hopefully he can build on this. I think him being at 11 West, maybe, unless he does completely terribly, this has bought him at least one more tournament, regardless of how he does here. Again, unless he goes like 4-11 or worse. I mean, maybe 5-10 will get him demoted. I think he could escape with a 6-9.
Then we have Deishomaru, who is average.
Yes.
7-8 at West Megashira 11. He's at East Megashira 12 this time. The reason that he didn't get demoted was because A, he did a 7-8 record, and B, a lot of other people did a lot worse than he did.
Yeah, a lot of other people did a lot worse than him. Honestly, my favorite thing about Daishomaru is the way the Gyoji says his name.
Daishomaru!
Yes. Yes, it is amazing. Like, I don't know why, I just love it. But yes, again, very average wrestler. He is looking to improve because he better hope people don't do but worse than him. After that, we have Saronome, another guy who was just getting back in. Went 8-7.
Yeah.
At 14 East last tournament, so he's here to stay at 12 West.
He had a good start to the tournament, but then lost the last 5 matches of the 15 days. So he had a decent record.
Yeah. Again, this will be a guy. Which one is going to show up? The guy who started strong or the guy who finished poorly?
Well, yeah, I think the guy that finished strong is probably going to show up once again. He does traditionally do okay in the Aki Basho. He went 8-7 last year.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what he does. After him, we have another person who was just getting back in, Nishikigi, at 15 East.
Went 8-7.
Yep. And it's at 13 East. Again, the people just getting back into Juryo, they're like, nope, not going back down. Not going back down.
So, yeah, he went 8-7, and considering 8-7, that was a good record to have in this tournament, as we said earlier.
Yes. 8-7 last tournament was the record and a lot of people would kill for.
So, next up on the list is the first of the returning wrestlers. It's Kaisei.
Yay! Kaisei's back. I hope he does better than that time he got demoted.
10-5, East Juryo 1 ended up getting quickly promoted back because of the fact that everybody else above them struggled mightily.
Yep. We have 3 people jumping back into the top, or 3 people jumping into the top division. I think 2 of them, or at least one of them, is their first time in.
Yep.
So, Oh, man, the next person after Kaisei, though.
Okay, this guy, Endo, had a issue with an injury with his left ankle. He underwent surgery on the ankle in late July. He went West Megashira free at 2-3-10. Either he will be in this tournament or he will withdraw.
Yeah. 2-3-10 from West Megashira 3 all the way down to 14 East. He had the biggest drop out of anybody. I mean, good Lord, this was not good for him. I feel we both know if he withdraws, he's gone back to Juryo.
Yeah, he's back to Juryo, and then he'll work his way back up.
Yep. After that, we have Okinomi, whose last tournament record was 5-10 at West Megashira 9.
Oddly, a good record to have in this tournament.
Yeah. Well, it was good. It was good enough to not get demoted, but at the same time, good lord, man, you weren't even in the wall. What were you doing?
Mm-hmm. He's been struggling with some injury issues over the last few tournaments, and I think at this point he's going to have an okay tournament. Either he will break away from this streak of struggling at 3-12 and 5-10, or he's getting demoted to jury.
Yep. This is his last chance, though, because we both know if he goes 8-7, or if he goes anything under 8-7, he's back down.
Yep. Much like our next participant at East Megashira 15, Tokushoryu.
No, he's East Megashira 15. Last time he was Megashira 9 East. What record do we think he had, knowing that the guy above him is one higher and was one lower and was 5-10?
If the class bet 4-11, then they'd be correct.
Yep, 4-11. Wow. Again, you weren't even in the wall. What were you doing?
Getting flipped over by the other wrestlers, unfortunately.
Seriously, man. Good lord. Again, he's another guy. Dude, get your shit together or go back down.
Mm-hmm. I think he'll have an okay tournament. Maybe he'll finish at 8-7 like he did when he got back from Jurio.
You better hope he finishes 8-7 or else he's gone.
Mm-hmm. And now our two candidates for the Megashira 15 West and 16 East spots. Welcome back, Yuki Takeyama, the man who got absolutely destroyed the first time he was there.
Yep. Yeah, he was the one disappointing debut. And, well, he went back down. Mm-hmm. He's back, though.
After one tournament.
Yep. Sometimes your debut doesn't go how you wish it did. Sometimes it does. You never know how it will go. And good lord, his first time there went 4-11. The good news is at Jurio 5 East, he went 11-4. So,
yeah, there's a possibility there that he might actually improve from that. Although, unfortunately, he's going to have to face against the lower-ranked wrestlers first. It depends on how he does against the rank-and-filers, but I'm not having high expectations for him. He might go 8-7 this tournament, which would be a good result for him.
Yep.
And then there is...
as bad as he did last time.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, which I think was, what, 3-12?
4-11.
Okay, 4-11.
Not that much better, though. And then we have Asanoyama. My God, I can't speak today.
He is from the Takasago stable, which is a well-known stable. Was established by a former Mikashira Takasago Ogurto in 1873, and it's one of the older stables. They've always taken the character of the Shunaka reading Asuka, which means that heavy machinery might be joining the Sumo stable soon. So basically, this guy might actually be scary competent.
Yeah, this is his first tournament in the top division. So we'll see what he does. Will this be a good debut, like a guy like Onosho had? Will this be a bad debut, like Yuta Kayama had?
But I actually have confidence that this guy will do decently in the tournament. Either he will go 5-10 and be demoted, or he will go on a 12-3 tear, because this guy, I've seen his matches in Jurio. He's scary competent as a sumo wrestler. And he's just 23 years of age.
Well, at least he isn't younger than me.
So that about covers the 42 wrestlers that are in the Megashira ranks. The ones who got demoted to Jurio that we'll briefly talk about is Sokurai Mugiru Amamiski, who's actually trying to climb his way back into the top division at 38 years of age. The guy who is the most frequent flyer of sumo wrestling rings, Kotoyuki, is Jurio 3 East, Toyobiki is Jurio 4, Kokoshoru is Jurio 6, Omofuji is Jurio 7, Hinanome Gagamaru from Megashira 16 East went down to Jurio 7 West.
Yep. There was a lot of demotions.
4 demotions to be precise, and 4 promotions.
Yep. So we'll see what happens.
So, which wrestler are you going to bet on winning this Basho? And who might finish runner-up?
I can't bet against Hakuho. I just can't. The guy has been so utterly dominant.
I'm thinking that, so you are going with Hakuho as your main. Who you're going for runner-up?
I'm gonna... I might... This will probably come back to bite me, but I'm gonna put it out on an O-show. I've been really impressed with him. These past 2 tournaments. I think he might surprise some people even in the wall. I'm gonna put my faith in this man and see if he'll prove me right.
I feel like this might be another strange Basho. This Basho feels odd. I think that there might be a few surprises. There may be a retirement or 2. There will probably be a few wrestlers pulling out of the tournament. I feel as though the tournament winner is not going to be a Yokozuna this time. If it is, it's going to be Kisuna Sato. He's recovered from his injury well enough that he will probably go on a tear in this tournament. Hakuho is playing a lot of tricks, and I'm not sure that I think the wrestlers are starting to catch up to those tricks of his. Kisuna Sato, if the Yokozunas win, it's going to be Kisuna Sato or Haruma Fuji. If it's going to be an Ozeki, it will most likely be Takayatsu. However, my person who will be possibly the winner of this tournament might be Mitakumi.
Okay, I was wondering if you were going to give it to Mitakumi.
Yeah, Mitakumi is going to possibly win the Aki Basho. It's not a definite, but if this guy has a fantastic record and gets into a playoff, he will probably do very well. So Mitakumi will be either the winner or the runner-up of the tournament if things go well for him. My runner-up will be one of the lower-ranked wrestlers. And I'll pick one out of the hat here. And I'm going to go with Asanayama as my runner-up.
Really? You're thinking a debut at 16 is going to go runner-up?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's a lot of faith in the man.
But you know me, I'm always the random one. I always go in a different direction than what most people are going to be thinking about for things regarding the world of professional wrestling and in sumo. So we'll see how it goes. Because I thought Aoyama last time would have a good record, and he did.
Well, you turned out to be right with him. I didn't expect it. We'll see what happens. Speaking of Aoyama, do you think he builds on this, or do you think he goes back down?
I think he may go down a rank or 2 because everybody else is healthy and he no longer has the benefit of the slippery service of the Nagoya Basho to help him in the tournament.
Right. And 2 more questions. Well, it's 1 question for 2 people. Do you think Goedo or Teruno Fuji will get demoted?
Depending on if Goedo's back issues have healed, he will possibly either be demoted if his back issues continue to flare up, or he'll stay at Ozeki. Teruno Fuji, different story. He had a knee injury issue again, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep his Ozeki rank. But then again, this guy has proven me wrong several times, so we'll see where it goes.
Yep, that's the interesting thing about sumo. Someone will have a bad tournament one time, and the next they can completely surprise you.
That is the way of the sumo gods. And thank you, folks, for tuning in for our 3rd edition of the Sumo Basho. We appreciate that you took the time to also listen to us during the Donner Party Pro Wrestling segment. And this has been our 25th show, Sal.
Woo! Silver Show! Yeah. And it was fun talking about sumo with all you. And like always, when the tournament starts on September 10th, going through, we'll give you guys updates on, who's winning, who's losing, mixed in with our regular wrestling coverage going forward.
That will start on September 15th, which will be our September 15th show, and September 22nd, scheduling permitting, and anything else that happens via illness, injury, or different dismemberment. Okay.
Yes, dismemberment, or Leafs fans chasing me again.
Yeah.
But yes. We want to thank you guys for watching us, listening to us, doing whatever you're doing with us. I don't know. Maybe you're keeping us on while you're doing some laundry or something. That's always a good way to kill some time.
So anyway, folks, we are here. You can follow me on Twitter at Fizzpatrick14.
And you can follow me at Cusmano_Sal.
And we once again thank you for tuning in for the 17th episode of the revival edition of the Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling podcast, which is also our 25th episode, because I'm not like comic books. I don't renumber things.
Jeez. Oh, comic books. When will you ever learn?
Yes. When will you ever learn, folks? Thanks again so much for tuning in on this edition of the show. We'll cover the sumo as it happens starting September 15th. Once again, scheduling permitting. And we'll see you on the next edition of the show. Coming up next on the list is Two Guys, One Sport, which I believe will be at its usual time at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with WOR Duke as guest host, along with Curtin Jerker, technical issues, and Chris getting into a battle with the Warhammer people permitting.
Yep. And, next week will be all about normal wrestling once again. I'll probably bring up some of the Mae Young Classic. Hopefully, WWE will be more inspired than it was this week.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we'll see you then, folks. Until then, the full body cast will be off of regular wrestling, and Alexa Bliss will no longer be on the ring mat after Nia Jax turned her into a pancake.
Yep.
So we'll see you then, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.